Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I want to show you the kit that I will be using this month for my creative design team project for Tracie Fox. So this is the Witch's Tea Party Folio and it is gorgeous. I printed it out on the photo mat paper and it's just come up so beautiful. Heaps and heaps of detail in it. So Tracie has done a tutorial on how to put this together, as has the lovely Deborah, who's on the design team as well. I will try and remember to link both of their tutorials down below if you want to go and check out how to put it together. But I thought I would have a go with it and see what I can do. Anyone who knows me knows I love purple. Purple and green together, even better. And this has a bit of all of that in it, so yes, so it should be fun. So quick look and then we'll get stuck into making something with it. So it's just beautiful. I think it's a wraparound folio. So you've got the panels there, and as I said, Tracie and Deborah do show you how to put it together, so I won't go into that too much. Now it has these pages as well, which you can print on the other side of those. But I thought I'd print them as separate pages for now because I've got an idea of how I want to put mine together a little differently. Beautiful big tags. And pockets, tuck spots that you can use. These are upside down. More pockets than that, I think. There are pockets that go either way, so you can decide which side you want to put the pockets in. That's if you make the folio as recommended. I might do something a little different, so I might end up using all the pockets anyway. But there is apparently enough to do 2 folios if you print the cover pieces out twice. It's just beautiful. Details are amazing. So I've printed the whole lot out because I think I will use it. Just love it. So I've got to do a hunt now for all these bits and pieces that might go with it and figure out how I'm going to put it together. I have grabbed 2 pieces of black cardstock and these are for my A, B, C and D panels around the outside of the folio. And I'm doing it a little different, just putting a bit more room into it to add some pages, I think. So what I have done is these are my C and D pieces, which are these. And I have just measured the height of the digital panels and added a little bit for a black border around them. And I've measured the width of each of the panels without the spines as well. So I'll be cutting these out in a minute without the spine pieces. So with my first piece of black cardboard, well, both my pieces of black cardboard I have cut down to the 7.5 inches. That way. So across there. So that was the first task, to cut the 2 pieces to the 7.5 inches. And then I have added a little bit to the width of each of the panels so that we'll get a bit of a black border around them. So for this piece I've scored it at the 5 3/4 mark here and then at the 6 3/4 mark here, and that gives us a 1 inch spine there. And it leaves about 5 inches this side as well. So that's that piece. And then for the A and B piece, I have scored that at 4 3/4 and then 5 inches, which gives us a 1/4 inch spine there. And then I've scored it again at the 10 and 11, which gives us an inch spine there, plus a little bit hanging over here, which we'll use to join onto this piece. So it should be like this will join there. And that will fold over, gives us a spine down this side that's the same width as the spine here, and that will fold over like that. So hopefully this will work, and that will be our little folio. So the next thing I'll do off camera is cut the panels out without the spines, and then I will stick them onto the black cardstock. And then this piece I will trace around. When I cut around it, I'll just leave a bit of a black border. Would probably be the easiest thing to do. So I'll be back once I've got that done for the next bit. So now you can see I've added the panels to the outside of my folio. So that's the inside. That's the outside all done. And then we've got our spine pieces here that aren't covered. We'll worry about that later. So the next thing I want to do is I grabbed some of the offcut pieces from the ends of my pages, and I did do some duds when I was doing my measuring, so I've got some extra bits as well, but you can just cut some yourself. What I want to do with these is just double them together, so I'll stick them together. I have 4. So these are for the 2 thick spines, just to reinforce them. So I'll stick these 2 together and I'll put them in this spine. Now they are not the width of the spine quite. It's a few millimeters either side, but that enables it to fold nicely. But I just thought it'd be good to reuse my scraps for that. And I'll be doing it in this spine as well. So I have attached the spine pieces now, just to make it a little more sturdy, on both the 1-inch spine sections. Now, what I did forget to do, which I always forget to do, is ink around. I completely forgot to ink around my pieces. Oh no. So I was going to ink around these with black soot distress ink, but look, it's not going to matter too much. I am going to go off in a minute and sew around the edges of all of my digital panels, just to ensure that the edges are stuck down properly. So now we have this little spine too, and there was a little spine piece, so I've still got that. I always keep my offcuts, fortunately, so I will be adhering that just there as well. I've got all my picture panels on the outside of my cover, and now I want to cover the inside. I have this fabric here that came off of a dress-up costume in the second-hand store, a kid's dress-up costume. So I'm just cutting that down to fit on both of my cover panels. So it's like a mesh, a tulle type fabric. And I decided to use glue stick because it shouldn't show through it very much, and it seems to hold this type of fabric down quite nicely. So I just smooth it out over my cover there. I do use some fabric glue just to go around the edges to make sure it adheres nicely. I will be sewing around the panels as well, but I do want it to sit nice and flat against the cover. I think it looks beautiful. Now just there I'm gluing it down. I didn't want to actually glue it down there, so I do lift it back up a bit because I will be sticking the other half of my cover underneath that fabric there. So now I'm doing the other side, same method. So once that's all done, I grab my scissors and I cut very roughly around the edges. I want it to be rough. I think it will look good, just having it all raggedy sticking out from the cover there. That's how I'm doing the inside of my cover pieces. Just cutting down this second one now. Love the way it looks. Great way to use it up. I've used it on a few projects now, but just little bits and pieces. So I'll be sticking that piece underneath the fabric there to the other piece. So I'm just debating how far to cut down my material so that it slips in nicely. I'll make it nice and neat so you don't see it too much when you open up the cover. So I left it quite long until I knew exactly how I wanted it to fit together, and then cut it down accordingly then. So now I have the inside pocket pieces that I want to use. And I remembered to ink around one of them. I've been so forgetting to ink things for this project. Oh well. I've got some more of my black cardstock. And I just want to trace around the curves that I've got for my cover there, so that I can back my little pocket and know what size I want it to fit in to the inside of that cover piece. Thought that would be the easiest way to do it. And then I'm just using my cutter to cut the width of it to the same width as my cover. And then I'll just cut around my traced area to get the curves the way I want them. Just checking that it sort of is even and it fits all right. And then I stick my pocket down. So I want to back it onto the cardstock and cut it out so it's got that border around it like all the other pieces. I could have just stuck that piece onto the black cardstock and then just cut around it to get my curves, but I thought I wanted it exactly the same size as my front cover piece. But afterwards I decided to trim these bits off because they look a bit weird, so it ends up a bit smaller than my cover piece. Then I decide I want to put some lacy bits in this journal, so I just go through some of my purple and black laces till I find one that I think will look nice for this pocket. I just stick it down with some of my fabric glue. So I have two of those angled pockets as well that are in the kit. And I want to do the same, back them onto the black cardstock. They might have come with little tabs to fold over for to give you more room when you stick them down, but I cut them off because I knew I wanted to back these onto the cardstock and have that little border. So I forgot to ink around that piece too until after I stuck it onto the cardstock. I don't even think I inked around the other pieces, but again, I just found a bit of the purple lace to put on the top of these angled pockets. So that's how I'm doing all the pockets for the inside cover. So then I just trim them down till I think they look nice and neat. So I've got all my pockets, and I've also done two of the tags there ready to put in. And I'm showing you that I've sewed around my cover. I left that bit that I'm showing you there unsewn though, because that's where I'm going to join the two covers together, and then also to ensure they stay together. But otherwise I've sewn around all the individual panels. So that will hold the inside on nicely as well as the outside bits. So now I'm just slipping that bit underneath the fabric on the other side to stick the two cover pieces together. That's nice and neat there too. You can't really tell on the outside, and the inside's pretty neat as well. I just use some of my fabric glue again to stick that little join of the fabric down. I can trim a bit more of it off now. I know exactly how it's fitting together. Just use my grease-proof paper to press down on it so that it adheres nicely without sticking to my fingers. And I did attach that closure piece when I sewed around the outside as well. So now I've got to stick my pockets on the inside. So when I stick that one down, it will help hold my closure in place as well as the sewing that I did. So I'm using my Helmars glue for this, the Helmars fabric glue, because I know that sticks really well, and because I'm sticking the pockets to the fabric, I want to make sure they stay. Now for these pockets I decided I wanted a bit more room, so I'm creating these gusset pieces, just using the scrap cardstock, scoring it down the middle so I can fold it over. And then I'll stick those on the 3 sides that I want to stick down to the folder. So I'm not being terribly neat with these. Whatever size they end up sort of doesn't really matter if they're a little short. But they will create that little bit of extra room for me to be able to slip the tags in, and if I want to embellish the tags more, then I should be able to still slip them in. Otherwise they would be a little tight. So I stick the one side to the pocket of all the 3 pieces, and then I put the glue on the outer bits and stick it into my folio. And so I'll do the same process for the other angled pocket that's like this as well. Always check that I'm going to put it in the right place and that I'll still be able to close my book up nicely before I stick it down. The tag fits in there nicely. So now I've got this double pocket, sort of like a stacked pocket that Tracie created. I know with the kit, you get a panel that you put on the back of these, which I'm not using. I'll use them elsewhere. I did want to see the fabric underneath my pockets here. So this stacked pocket, I think you put on a back panel, and then you have the 2 flaps that you can close over it. And you put your little circles on and some twine to keep it closed, but I might use them elsewhere, we'll see. So I just want to put the double pocket onto this panel. So I start by putting my gussets on the bottom layer there. And then there's a little pocket that you put on top of this one as well. And I will gusset that one also. Weird terms we use for all this sort of stuff. I don't even know if that technically is what a gusset is. I don't really know what a gusset is. So I just say it because I've heard others say it. sounds a bit more proper than a folded piece of cardstock. So I just stick that down on top. Okay, so I think I'll end this video there. We have constructed our cover and put the pockets on the inside. I love the way it looks. Really love this fabric that I put on here. And this glittery stuff that I found for my journal tie. So that's the outside. Haven't done anything on the spine yet. I'll probably wrap some fabric around that after I've put their signatures in. That's the back. And the same with that spine. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with those yet, so I'll do those afterwards. So I've got a really long tie. I'll leave it long until I've finished, and then I'll decide how much of it I want to leave on there. And I did sew that on when I sewed around the cover pieces. And sewing around the cover pieces also holds this background fabric on real nicely. Ultimately, it'd be good to sew these pieces down, but I would have had to sew them down after I put the fabric on and before I stuck these on. Probably. I was a bit worried that if I stuck these on that I wouldn't catch them when I sewed around these edges, which would be true. Be a bit messy, so I thought I would just stick them down afterwards, but I used my Helmar's fabric glue. That holds things in really well, so I thought that would be the one to use for this. So I've got a little pocket here. I also sewed around these 2 tags. Now, a lot of these pieces had background pieces that you'd put on as well, but I really wanted to see the fabric for this. So the pieces that I didn't use for the backgrounds and now the tags and that I'll probably utilise somewhere in the journal, which will be great. Means I've got heaps of pieces to decorate the journal with. And so you saw that I just did those really small gussets. And I didn't worry about them being perfect size or anything like that. It was just using up a bit of my black cardstock scraps. But it's just allowed there to be a bit more room to stick my tags in case I want to decorate my tags at all. So I've got the 2 pockets there. And then I did the same sort of gusset thing with this one. And then this one as well. So we can slip things in there, although I think that one needs a bit of, oh, that's good. Yeah, so loving it and it's looking good. So now I'm going to go off camera and get on with filling up my signatures. I'll possibly do one more video just making some of the ephemera that's going to go into my journal. And then I will come back before the end of the month, hopefully probably on the last day of the month or something, with a flip through of it. So take care, be good. Witches Tea Party Kit, absolutely beautiful, from lovely Tracie Fox. And I will see you again soon. Bye.